This is my reaction to the UFC 272 Covington versus Masvidal press conference. I just watched the entire thing and now I'm going to try and break down all of the key moments from my memory because I, of course, took no notes this time. Normally I do take notes and try and go through all of the key moments, but I couldn't take notes this time. I was watching so intently, there was no time for notes. So let's start straight away with who won the press conference and how good was the press conference in general. I believe the press conference was actually a good one. Now, typically the press conferences for combat sports fights aren't the best anyway because these guys aren't professional entertainers. They are fighters that are picking up a part-time entertainment job to try and promote their fight. However, compared to some of the other press conferences that we've had, especially this year, this was probably the best press conference this year. There was bad blood. They went back and forth. There were some funny moments with the crowd getting involved. Of course, there were some really dumb MMA media questions, and I'll get to that at the end of this video as well. But let's start straight away with also who won the press conference. And I believe Colby Covington won that press conference 10-8. I don't think this was a slight win. Masvidal didn't really have anything for him whatsoever. Masvidal would say something, Covington would give a really legitimate response to why that whatever Masvidal said was wrong, and then Masvidal would just not respond whatsoever or just start going over whatever Covington was saying. By the way, that is the most annoying thing maybe that any human can do ever, in my opinion. I really did not like it when Brandon Moreno was doing that over Davison Figueiredo, and they both kept doing it over each other in this press conference, but Masvidal did it way more than Covington did, and it really does annoy me because I understand you're trying to get the better of the shit-talking situation, but I really need to hear what's going on, and when someone's sitting there going over someone speaking, it's just really counterproductive for a press conference where people are supposed to be speaking. Jorge Masvidal and Covington as well, who did it a few times. But let's talk about some of the key moments that went down. I'll try and remember them. They were talking a lot of trash off of the microphone, which is always good to see because it helps add to that feeling that this is a real beef. Whether you believe this is a real beef or not, it does add the feeling that it's a real beef when they're not doing all of their trash talking on the microphone and they're saving some stuff for off of the microphone just to say towards each other. So there was a lot of that in this press conference. But Covington won, man. I thought he won the press conference very well. He had all of the funnier lines. And also, is he even the bad guy anymore? He had more cheers than Masvidal coming out. Now, it was close. Masvidal had a lot of cheers, and so did Colby Covington. It was a pretty empty press conference in general. But Covington, in my opinion, had a louder reaction from the crowd, and it wasn't boos. So I think it's time to kind of stop calling Covington a heel and painting him out as the bad guy all the time, when in reality, a lot of the fans seem to like Covington. I think it was pretty 50-50. I would say the crowd popped a little bit more for Colby Covington when he came out, but they were talking shit back and forth. One thing I do want to point out that happened in this press conference before I get to any of the funny moments of trash talk between them: stop bringing NFTs into UFC press conferences. I'm fucking sick of it, man. I do not know why. I don't know if NFT, whatever they are as a company, has some kind of partnership with the UFC. I'm not sure. Why at every single press conference does someone need to force an NFT down our throat? I am so annoyed by that. I was wondering the whole time, what's this golden suitcase or golden briefcase that Masvidal's bringing out? Oh my god, is this going to have some documents of Colby Covington's criminal past that we don't know about? Is this going to have some documents of Colby Covington's loans that he's taken out in the area? Oh my god, it's going to be some real dirt in that briefcase. And he brings out a fucking NFT and puts it front and center, trying to sell it the entire time. Stop doing that shit. It's so fucking annoying. But let's talk about the trash talk, okay? Covington won. Masvidal had nothing for him. Everything Masvidal said, Covington came back twice as good, and then Masvidal had nothing to say, or he'd just ramble over the top of whatever Covington was saying. I thought it was really good. Covington had a really good comeback for John Morgan early on as well. He said, John Morgan, I'm not, no questions for you unless you do those 10 push-ups and stuff like that. And then Masvidal at one point tried to defend John Morgan once Covington said that. No, go there. Let's not simp for the MMA media here, Jorge Masvidal, jumping in to, valiantly defend John Morgan with your fucking shield of honor. Jesus Christ, let Covington trash John Morgan a little bit. Don't jump in and defend him like some sado. But either way, Covington rips on John Morgan, and then he even said to John Morgan as well, which was a perfect comeback, because John Morgan, people didn't really get this if they don't pay attention, but John Morgan had a really good comeback for Covington in the regular press conference they do, the solo press conference they did a couple of days ago. Covington mentioned he's got to do 10 push-ups, and Morgan said something like, I've only got one lung, because Covington said, I've got such good cardio, I've got 2 lungs. And Morgan was like, well, I've only got 1 lung. I can't possibly do 10 push-ups. And then Covington said, yeah, you've only got 1 lung because you ate the other one. It was just a typical fat joke at John Morgan. I just love seeing it because I love John Morgan being roasted because he's fat. It's quite fun to see. But either way, some of the shit talk they had for each other. Covington won it. Masvidal would bring up the fact that Covington slept on his couch, and Covington immediately would go, hang on. I slept on Maritza's couch, and then Masvidal would have nothing to say afterwards whatsoever, and Covington would start talking about how Maritza was the one that he slept on the couch of, and Maritza was the person that funded their careers early on. It wasn't Masvidal that funded their careers early on, and Masvidal would have nothing to respond to with that. Masvidal even tried to say at one point in the press conference that, Covington, you got kicked out of ATT, and then Covington said back to him, you got kicked out as well, but I just found a different gym. You went begging back to them to try and get back in the gym. And it actually rattled Masvidal a bit, because that's the truth. Masvidal got kicked out of the gym as well, and he had to plead his way back into ATT. And Masvidal said afterwards, well, at least I'm back at ATT. Agreeing with him. Masvidal didn't, disprove any of Covington's statements. He just sort of agreed with them, but flexed that he did. You know what I mean? Well, I'm back at ATT though. And speaking on that point as well, with the way that Masvidal responded to things that I just mentioned, Covington at one moment said, yeah, you make more money than me, but you have to pay half your alimony to your wife. You have to pay half your paycheck to your wife in alimony payments anyway. And Masvidal's response, which I thought would be, no, I don't, that's bullshit, shut the fuck up, I don't pay her half my money, was, at least I still get half. That genuinely was his response. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, Covington's telling the truth the whole time. Kind of. I thought, Covington's exaggerating with that half the paycheck to Maritza, his ex-wife. And he went, yeah, you make more money than me, but you pay your ex-wife half your paycheck anyway, so you don't. Yeah, at least I still get half. What a comeback. Masvidal, you showed him. Really weird one there. But yeah, Masvidal didn't really have anything to say, to be honest. He called him fake. I mean, Masvidal even tried saying at the start, you're the one who said we were best friends. Masvidal, there's so many videos of you saying that you're best friends with Colby Covington. There's literally a video online of you calling him as good as your little brother, and you'll fight with him till the end. I just want to see him succeed. He's like a little brother to me. I don't know why Masvidal's trying to call out Covington on being best friends with Masvidal, when Masvidal was also best friends with Covington and said it multiple times. And he even tried to play it on audio, Covington saying that they were best friends, like it's Covington being fake. But that's the point of this beef. You were friends and now you're not. So I don't know what Masvidal was going for in that press conference other than selling his NFT and flexing how much money he earned. He actually had a good point about Covington not making any pay-per-view shares, and that seemed to annoy Covington a little bit because Masvidal was saying stuff while Covington was speaking yeah, sell that pay-per-view for me, boy. Sell that pay-per-view for me, bitch. Yeah, keep selling the pay-per-view for me, bitch. And stuff like that. And it was kind of rattling Covington a little bit because I don't know why he's not getting pay-per-view shares. In my opinion, he should be. But oh well. I think he got pay-per-view shares in his last fight against Usman. At least that's what the disclosed payout said. I'm not too sure if his contract said so or not because we don't know that stuff. But I'm assuming Covington's not making pay-per-views here. Masvidal is, which is interesting because I think they both bring something to the table in terms of drawing power. But yeah, Covington beat him at the trash talking. Even the stuff about Mike Brown, the coach, Masvidal would say, you got kicked out, now I'm at ATT with all my coaches, and started listing Mike Brown and these people, and Covington was like, oh, Mike Brown, that guy who did fucking GHB before his fight with so-and-so, and that's on record. Apparently he did do that. He was a drug addict, supposedly on GHB, and Masvidal again, as soon as he heard that back, he went, and sort of just waited for Covington to stop. Masvidal didn't really have much to say back here. I know. It was really shocking to me. I thought Masvidal was going to come in there with a big, like list of things to say about Covington and just reveal everything that was going on, and there'd be like a new clarity on the entire situation, and Masvidal would own him and expose him with some new information that we've never heard before. But in reality, it was just Covington shutting up Masvidal for the entire press conference. I'm going to try and find some other key moments that happened here to make it happen. Oh yeah, Colby Covington took a picture with an old woman at one point in the press conference, which was interesting to see because it shows you the other side of Colby Covington, I guess. Taking a picture with an old lady. Very nice stuff from Colby Covington there. And then he also said at one point, Colby Covington, if this guy won his next 45 fights in a row, he still wouldn't have a better winning percentage than me. Good line there from Covington. I'm assuming he looked up the maths of that before the press conference to say that line, because 45 fights, that is a ridiculous statement to make. Like, I remember he said something before about, like, if you win your next however many fights or something like that, you still wouldn't have a better record than me and stuff. And now he's changed it to the more mathematical and statistical side of things, of the winning percentages and stuff like that, which is a weird statement, right? But either way, Masvidal's been way more experienced, fought the who's who of the sport. Most of them are split decisions. You can't really shit talk Masvidal for losses, but he does have a bad record. But either way, really good press conference at certain moments. Bad press conference at other moments as well. The security guard behind Colby the entire time, like some fucking Grim Reaper, this comment says. Very true. I don't know what the security guard was doing. Very interesting. Just lurking behind Covington the entire time. I expected them to be sort of like hot on Masvidal to try and stop Masvidal from doing stuff, but they were more focused on Covington getting up and doing something, it seemed, at one point. But either way, very good stuff. Colby really got him in most ways. But I don't know if that's going to beat Masvidal. I think Masvidal might just be better because of the anger that Covington is putting into him, which is interesting. And that's how it goes. There we go. Very nice. There was other stuff, though, that I need to remember. But yeah, oh yeah, the what's it called? The fan in the media asked a question to Dana White about if he was actually going to cut Colby Covington after the Damian Maia fight, which was very smart of him to do, because we've never actually had the UFC's official take on that whole subject of Covington bringing that up. And it seemed like, yeah, they probably were going to cut him. And I thought that was going to be a moment where, oh God, maybe this exposes Covington's whole backstory of why he had to take on the heel persona and stuff like that. But Dana avoided that question just to, I don't know about that topic, and tried to stall it beforehand. And then Covington even said, you know, like you said to Dan Lambert, you were going to cut me win or lose after the Maia fight. And Dana's like, I have no idea about that. Ask me about the Nelk boys or something. Like, I don't know why they even asked Dana White questions. But speaking about asking Dana White questions, we have the biggest press conference, maybe this year, definitely. Let me move this out of the way a little bit more. We have the biggest press conference of the year so far. The biggest, most anticipated press conference. One of the all-time most anticipated press conferences in terms of how excited people are before the press conference actually happens. And this fucking bitch gets her microphone with her journalism degree and says into the microphone, the canvas is kind of slippy sometimes. Like, I really don't. I think they're being sent by Bellator, by ONE FC. She was Asian. I'm not trying to poke fingers here at ONE FC, but I would not be surprised. Honestly, it's like, it must be something beyond them being brain dead at this point. I would not be surprised if ONE FC is having some of their journalists and workers ask bullshit questions at these press conferences to try and like run intermission on the entire thing and try and stop the whole thing from happening and just waste as much time as they possibly can, because at least a couple of times every press conference we get this bullshit about, hey, when are you coming to Madagascar next? Coming back to Madagascar anytime soon? Oh, I mean, we can't get into London, but we'll try and get into Madagascar at some point, please. Stop asking me about that and all that. And another reporter jumps up and this woman literally says, the canvas looks kind of slippery. And then that's the question. Covington, Masvidal on stage. We're talking about how slippery the canvas is. Thank you, woman, who came up to ask that dumbass fucking questions. But there you go. Very good. Very good press conference. There was more moments that I need to mention that I can't quite remember. Oh, the Poirier stuff. Covington is going all out on Poirier recently. He said Poirier the cuck at one point in the press conference. And then he also mentioned later on that Poirier needs to get a parental test, or what's it called, a paternity test, to find out who the real dad of his child is, because the child has an Irish accent, and that means that Conor's the daddy. And this is obviously a meme, but interesting, to say as if the one thing you pass on to your children is your accent, and that McGregor fucking Jolie and being the father of Poirier's daughter would mean that she'd have an Irish accent. Very interesting, but Covington's just trying to set up that Poirier fight. He knows it's a big money fight. Poirier has said multiple times now that he has no interest in fighting Covington in the octagon for any financial incentive, so I think he's purely just ducking Covington, in all honesty. But either way, I'm sure Covington still wants that matchup. He'll probably call out Poirier after the fight on the microphone as well, so that could be quite good. But yeah, Masvidal, Covington, laughing at the end as well. They both were laughing at each other. So I kind of feel like there is an element of they're probably friends behind all of this more than they're letting on. But there is a bit of beef as well, because you can't have someone bring up your alimony payments and the fact that you neglect your kids because you're a deadbeat dad and it not get personal. Even if this is fake and they don't have as big of a beef as they're making out, that's still going to bug you as a guy on a stage. If someone's calling you out in front of a big crowd of people and millions watching online, or hundreds of thousands of people watching online, talking about how you're a deadbeat dad and stuff like that. But yeah, Masvidal just kept repeating himself. Masvidal, my best friend, and all that stuff. Masvidal kept doing noises like that, which was very interesting, but it's interesting. There you go. Now he's a doctor. This guy didn't graduate middle school. Covington was really getting him with a couple of decent lines that he had, man. Couple of decent lines. Very good stuff. There was more, though, but I can't quite remember it. So now I'm just randomly going to try and remember things that's going on, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Oh my God, I can't remember. They keep bringing up the BMF belt, but I don't want to see the BMF belt put on the line. That makes no sense whatsoever. To be fair, Covington's line about how does a bill become a law, I have no idea what's going on there. Maybe that's a common, foundational point of American education that would be a real test over whether you're educated or not. I have no idea what that means. We don't even use the same terminology over there for bill. So, yeah, that's probably an American thing that I don't quite understand. But yeah, good stuff. Colby goes back to the wife and kids again. Masvidal gets emotional. It's all good, though. I think we're going to be good. I think it's going to be a good fight after this. It's going to be a great time after this. But yeah, I just think Covington got the better of that press conference. I'm trying to remember even more, because there was even more, but I just can't remember it. But yeah, all good. Covington mentioning it's not about money and stuff like that when Masvidal was bringing up how little he was making and shit like that. But yeah, good stuff. Good press conference. Covington had a couple of decent moments against Masvidal where he brought up the alimony payments and stuff, but Masvidal just didn't really have any good slam dunk moments on Covington. Not really any of them whatsoever. So there you go. I thought Covington would have way more dirt on him. You know what I mean? And then you've got Masvidal bringing up John Jones as a witness to testify Colby Covington's character. I'm reading another comment here again. And then Covington's like, yeah, bring up all those criminals to justify how bad I am. What? Is Masvidal blind to everything going on right now? You're bringing up John Jones as, the symbol of, who's good and who's bad? I'll tell you how Covington's a bad guy. Let's let John Jones decide who a good person is. What are you doing bringing that guy up? It makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. This guy actually has a good point at the end of the press conference during their little stare down situation. Someone put Covington doing Conor McGregor's stance and Masvidal doing Conor McGregor's kick. I don't think there's much to that whatsoever, but it did remind me of Conor McGregor, the way Covington sort of crept towards Masvidal at the press conference, stare down that they had. And also Masvidal did that same kick, but I think they're stretching that just to say that McGregor's like the forefather of all of this promotional stuff and shit like that. But either way, very good stuff. Covington got the win, 100%. But a good press conference. And Masvidal had a couple of moments, I guess. Can't quite remember any of them. He mentioned that his teeth are fake, but like, I don't know, man. I think Covington's kind of the crowd favourite now. I think people are going to be rooting for him. People were chanting Colby at the end. He was taking pictures with old women. I think Covington's no longer a heel. I think more people are kind of liking him now than they are Masvidal, it would seem. But there you go. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.